This is recorded and then posted on our Muleskinner website, so be sure to remember that if you want to ask somebody to listen to this. It can be found there as long as everything goes well with our technology. We've had very few failures. So today I'm going to ask our vice president, one of our vice presidents for programming, Kathy Jensen, to introduce the speakers and to field questions with them. And I'll just say to Kathy, I'll stay out of it. You let me help with timing if you need it, or if anything else goes wrong, I'm standing by. Otherwise, take it away, Kathy Jensen.
Thank you, David. We have two speakers today, Harrisburg Public School Superintendent Steve Combs and Sturgeon Mayor Pro-Tem Steve Crosswhite. They've been asked to tell us about challenges facing smaller Boone County towns and their surrounding rural areas, along with unmet needs and maybe some hopes and dreams. Superintendent Steve Combs' family he will speak to us first. His family has been in the Harrisburg area for over 125 years. He is in his 30th year as an educator. In Moberly, 2 years, Louisiana, Missouri, 2 years, and Harrisburg, 26 years. In Harrisburg, he has been a teacher, coach, middle school principal, and superintendent for the last 8 years. Steve's wife, Carmen, is special education director for Harrisburg schools. His mother was a teacher in Harrisburg School District for 37 years. Steve was elected to the Missouri Basketball Hall of Fame in 2020, had a court named after him in 2022, and was elected to the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame in 2024. Steve and his wife of 27 years, Carmen, have 4 children, Cade, 24, Bailey, 21, Trace, 18, and Brody, 13. Steve's hobbies are family, friends, and, quote, chasing my kids during their adventures. He also plays golf and enjoys 4-point pitch. Welcome, Steve Combs. The floor is yours.
Kathy, thank you so much for that introduction, and I really appreciate the invitation to speak to everyone. I've always heard a lot about the Boone County Muleskinners, and I'm excited to be part of the program today. And just again, thank you for having me. Today I'll just be highlighting a few things in for our school district, and also I've got Jeff Arp, who is our city council member, who could not be here today. He originally, I believe, was invited, so I'll also highlight a few things in the community of Harrisburg, because the school district and the town of Harrisburg are pretty tied together, and so I can talk on behalf of both. And again, thank you for the invite today. It's really been a pleasure to work in public service for education for so long. Especially in this area. Like I said, my family's been in this area, the Boone County, Howard County area for generations. And, I've seen a lot of changes, as all you have as well. And it's still, of course, I believe mid-Missouri is one of the best places to raise a family and children. And I'm just, excited to be part of that. Our school district is a rural school district, about 600 kids, K-12. We usually graduate around 50 kids a class, and so that's kind of where we've been. Have seen a little growth in the last 20 years, not a lot, it's not as much as the other part of the county. If you've ever driven out to Harrisburg, you know why. Our roads are not super straight out here, and so it's kind of a nice little community outside of Columbia. And of course, our community is one where most of our folks work in Columbia, and also we have a few family farms still out here, so it's a nice community to, like I said, to raise children in. A little bit about our school district. We strive to continue for excellence. We are always constantly trying to improve our district, whether it's facilities or hiring our staff. We are what they call a 4-day school week. We have a 4-day school week in where we attend school Tuesday through Friday. We went to this about 15 years ago. We were we were the 3rd school district in the state to go to this model. Originally, we had to do it because of cost measures. Our community went ahead and passed a tax levy increase funding for that. So we started to see some benefit of attracting new staff to our district and able to compete with surrounding communities. And since then, we've had other school districts in our area go to the 4 days. So we lost a little bit of that. We've got a very forward-thinking and community-based board that really gets behind our school district and education. We strive to pay well and to attract the best teachers and educators for our kids. And if you know Harrisburg at all, the school district is the hub of our community. We don't have a whole lot of anything else up here except for our school, and it's really a great place to be a superintendent at. So a couple of challenges we're facing, and, and I just want to commend Adrian last year. He really fought hard to try to keep charter schools out of Boone County. Witnessed his performance on the floor last spring. I was part of that call. And I know he worked closely with CPS also and other folks to try to fight this off. And, I wrote letters and talked to several folks, but Adrian is really a champion of public education, which in my book is phenomenal. I understand the private need for private education, but I also think that, as I go through this, and I'm kind of an old school person, is, the public dollars need to go to the public institutions, and he's doing a nice job of fighting for us to continue that. So Adrian, thank you so much for that, and I appreciate that, everything you do for us. So that's really the challenges that we're facing as a school district is just, where's the next, what does the next 20 years of education look like? What will it be? What will Boone County look like? Will there be charter schools? Will there be private schools that'll keep popping up, or will it be, open enrollment? Will it be, vouchers? That's something that, I'm nearing the end of my career, and I'm trying to, stay on top of that as much as possible. But, as long as we have folks continue to fight for public education, I think we're going to be fine. And really appreciate all the support that we get in this area for public education through the Democratic Party. So thank you so much for that. A little bit about our community as far as our town. We are a small village more than the town, but we are very active, and our town council is very active to continue to try to improve our community. The town of Harrisburg recently received a TAP federal grant for improvements, one of the first in our town's history, and you got to thank Mr. Arp for part of that and all the council members. And really what that does is it's adding sidewalks to our community. We have an area where we did not have a sidewalk to our new Dollar General store. From our post office, it was kind of a dangerous curb, and they were able to secure some funding, some grant money to put that sidewalk in, and also will connect our campuses. And the middle school and our high school, they're kind of split. And so there's going to be a sidewalk continues from, as we call it, uptown in Harrisburg, all the way to our high school, which will be nice to have the kids be able to walk on a sidewalk and not have to use some driveways and things so we're partnering with them. We've made a little bit of school donations for that as well, but for the most part, it was a TAP grant that was secured by our city council. So I'm really appreciative of that. One area that we do need help with in our community, and like I said, I live here. I've lived here my whole life, pretty much except for the 4 years of when I went to Moberly in Louisiana, is water capacity for our sewer system. We're continuing to need some capacity for our water lagoon. We are starting to have new houses built in our community. We recently have a 36-acre tract of land in the middle of our town that's been in a family for many generations that now is maybe up for development. I think one of the things that's going to slow that down is our sewer system, and whether we have the capacity to add that many houses in that spot. And so that's something that we're continuing to work on and see if we can't get some help with that. That's definitely a need. We're starting to have folks come in our community and take older homes that have been here for several years and tear them down, build new houses back. And with new construction is great, helps our tax bases, also helps our community and bring new families and younger families in. But we need some help with some of our infrastructure, and that's one of the things that we've been exploring avenues to help with that as a school district and our town. I'm trying to think what else. Town does a great job with the road system. They're always looking for ways to improve our streets. We're lucky that we don't have a lot to maintain, but the ones we do, they're great with that. Also another thing our town has added in recent years has been flock cameras, which I don't know if you know what a flock camera is. It's basically cameras on the outskirts of town, our city limits. They're able to help us with our safety and security in case something happens in our community. We do not have local law enforcement here other than the Boone County Sheriffs who they do a good job of helping us out here and they do patrol this area, but we don't have any local community police officers. And so we added some flock cameras for additional security and safety in our community, and they've seemed to be working out great. We don't have a lot of crime, knock on wood, and but if we do, I mean, sometimes it's vandalism, and we're able to help with that. And so thankful for the town council doing that. But those are kind of our updates, and I'd love to just kind of open the floor up for questions. When I got the assignment, I just wanted to give you an overview a little bit and see what else I can answer.
Steve.
Yes, sir.
I've been trying to get money in the budget for the last couple of years for sewage expansion for your town and Sturgeon and a retaining wall for Roachport. So I'm asking for $1 million. The problem is they're still trying to give tax breaks to their wealthy buddies right now. So they've got a bill for any type of tax to get rid of it right now going through the House. And so we're at a negative state as far as state income right now. And so I do have a meeting set up for Seth, and ARP hasn't responded to me yet though, to meet with the governor this next week. If he's not, and I don't know if he's just busy, but Seth's the only one that responded to me. Seth is going to be there. I do have the mayor of Roachport who has also not responded to me, but I do have the appointment set up with the governor to talk about these issues. If one of those guys can't make it, or if you want me to add you to that, I'd be happy to do that.
Sure. Yeah, that I can talk to Mr. Arp as well and make sure he's, has that on his, in his radar. But yeah, if I'd love to help him, anything I can do to help. So yes.
Okay. That's all I had.
I did have one question, and I'm wondering what TAP stands for.
Ooh,
You mentioned the TAP grant.
Yeah, it's a federal grant, or maybe I'm sorry, I think it's a state grant.
Oh.
I'm not sure exactly. The town secured it. I'm not 100% sure. I could probably look it up real quick, but they call it the TAP grant, and I don't know what the official words are for it because it's more of a town and community grant, not a school grant. So I apologize. I do not know the exact name of that. So
That's okay.
It
I was just
stands for
curious.
Transportation Alternatives Program.
Oh, thank you. I wondered, was that part of the federal infrastructure bill, the bipartisan infrastructure bill? Do you know, Dave Taylor?
I don't know that. I'll Google around and post what I find in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
The one
Okay.
I'm finding is a MoDOT grant.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, because we're also
Yes.
I believe we're going to be able to hopefully get some crossing walks. We have a crosswalk to our Lions Club area that kids use throughout the day, and so we're also going to get some of that. So yes,
It's a MoDOT grant. It may have come from the infrastructure bill or not. I don't know that for sure. I'll figure it out.
Okay. Sue or Herb have a question.
I have a question. Can you tell me, because I'm curious, a lot of us are a little concerned about the 4-day weeks for young people. Could you tell me what kind of advantages you have found?
Sure. So, of course, the initial advantage was the savings that we had. We had some cost savings running school 4 days compared to 5, which, early on, like saying 15 years ago, that our funding was so low at the state level, and we were having trouble. The economy was just bad. So we had trouble with that. So that's $70,000 in those days was a teacher and a half. And so instead of cutting a teacher and a half and making larger class sizes or limiting opportunities for our kids, we were able to do that. Now, since then, we passed our school district's much better shape financially. The economy has, of course, through these years has made a bounce back. I'm not sure which way it's headed now, but it's definitely made a bounce back within those years.
Yeah.
The extra advantage were now we were able to attract teachers that are actually retain most of our teachers instead of looking for a job in a larger district that maybe paid more. They were able to offer the 4-day week, and even though there's the same amount of hours and minutes that we go as any other 5-day school, they're just longer days. An extra day off a week or our Monday day where we can do our full day PD. Professional development days instead of doing half days or early outs. I really thought that was a big advantage to it. So teacher attraction, teacher retention, of course, that's our biggest asset is our teachers. And that really was the biggest advantage for us early on because we were the only area school in the area that had 4-day. Another advantage, personal advantage as far as, as a parent and a family person that had a 4-day, it was really nice to get a family day. Your Sundays all of a sudden become, you're not rushing around trying to get everything ready for that Monday morning. You're able to enjoy your Sundays with your family when things are a little slower. You can also take care of all your appointments on Mondays with, dentist appointments, doctor's appointments. There's a lot of, of course, state holidays that are on Mondays. So parents get a little more chance to be with their kids. And so that was kind of the advantage that we found over the years. Everyone questions us about childcare. What are you going to do with that? A lot of folks said, it was a great time for the kids to spend with, with grandma and grandpas, aunts and uncles on those Mondays. Also, they saved on childcare throughout the week because our days were a little bit longer and they didn't have to have after school daycare as much. And so they kind of switched out after school daycare with a Monday daycare. And so, like I said, we've been doing this a long time. We've had our first class a couple of years ago go from kindergarten all the way through high school and graduate on a 4-day. And so it's been a long time we've done it. And so it's worked for us. It's not for everybody. The only thing that, you mentioned advantage, but I will give one of the things that I was originally against it for a long time was kids that maybe didn't have that great influence at home and missed that one day being in school, seeing those positive influences, maybe even, the breakfast and the lunch that the school provides. And so we did some things to help with that, with some mentoring, also some buddy packs we send them on Fridays to make sure the kids have enough to eat on Mondays if they can. So we've been at it a long time. I think my community would really fight me if I try to go back. We've enjoyed it and it's worked for us, but like I said, it's not for everybody.
I had not realized that you were not, and I didn't think it out, obviously, that you still kept the number of contact hours for the students. And that was what I was focusing on. I did understand the benefit for the families, but
Sure.
I didn't understand that other. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, great question.
Educating me on that.
Steve, what's the school lunch program look like, and as far as low income kids and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so our free and reduced rate is about 28% of our folks are on free and reduced. That's about where we stay in that area, the low 30s, upper 20s, as far as free and reduced folks. Our lunch program, that's one of the things that since I've become superintendent, we switched. We used to have a commercially contracted company that did our food, and I just didn't feel that was very good. My grandmother was a school cook here and for years, and she wanted to make sure that everyone came and ate at her table, as she called it. I think they even dedicated the yearbook one year to her because she was the head cook. And the superintendent back in those days would get after her about spending so much money. She goes, "Well, you eat in here every day. I see you eating here." And he said, "Yeah." She goes, "Don't worry about what I'm making for these kids." And so I went to work on that. We brought it back in house. I got a great food service director, and we try to make good, healthy meals with good, healthy portions. We do a lot of snacks throughout the day. We'll set out fresh fruit and some stuff at the end of the day so kids have enough because it is a long day. And I tell her all the time, let's make great food for these kids because some of them miss the best 2 meals they'll get, breakfast and lunch here. And so we want to make sure that they eat well. And I like to eat well. I want the kids to eat well. So that's kind of our attitude.
Is there a big issue with kids being behind on being able to pay for lunches, or is that pretty much taken care of?
It kind of ebbs and flows. 2 years ago, we seemed to have a big problem with that. We had some folks that ran up some pretty large lunch bills. But we have, of course, we ask them to fill out if they need some government assistance for that. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't qualify. We have some local churches that will help out once in a while if folks are in need with that, and some other folks who are just kind and say, hey, if you got any families that are struggling, we can help with that. Right now, so everyone seems to be okay with that. We don't have a large deficit on as far as lunch bills not being paid.
Well,
We do spend, our lunch program is, I wouldn't say it always every year balances out. We do spend probably some deficit spending in our lunch program once in a while, but as I told my school board with that is, if we're going to deficit spend in an area, feeding the kids, I'm okay with, just because it's such an important, for their learning, for their development, for their growth, everything. It's one of the areas that we try to really strive to do well in.
well, if you get to any issues where you're getting several kids that are behind on lunch and stuff like that, don't be afraid to get a hold of me or even the Boone County Dems. I'm sure we can draw some money together to help pay for that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It looks like Sue and Herb have another question. Sue or Herb? Sue and Herb?
Herb.
This is Herb. If you can't tell by the voice, there is a widespread problem of accomplishment in public education in the US today. A widely distributed statistic is that 54% of US adults read and write at 6th grade level or below, and that numerosity, the jargon term for mathematical achievement, is worse, let's say 5th grade. There are great differences across this country. Missouri and other is not greatly different overall, but great differences between suburban metropolitan districts where people do much better and small town and rural school districts where people demonstrate worse. Where do your 2 school districts fit in all this?
Sure. So when we look at our standardized test scores for reading and for math, we were generally in that right around the state average. We're sitting there, right in the middle, usually where state averages are at. The state has really done post-COVID, they've really done a nice job of going back to work and making sure that we have what we need as far as our initiatives with reading curriculums. And one of the big initiatives I'll just talk a little bit about is the success reading plans that have came about the last 2 years. And so you'll have these standardized tests for these elementary kids that will come out, and where they test at with their reading. And then if they hit a certain mark, it continues as business. If they are lower than that, then we come up with these individual reading success plans. And our elementary principal is the one who spearheads that in our school district. And so we try to tailor these reading programs to meet kids where they're at and try to continue to move forward. You're exactly right. I mean, reading and writing are if you can do those 2 things, you can pretty much learn anything. And so those are the things that we're trying to concentrate, especially in the primary grades, to make sure that we get the kids past some of those numbers of reading in the 5th and 6th grade. Also comes down to, a lot of times we're sending stuff home to be read at home. I know when I was growing up, I had to read some books in the summertime once in a while. Of course, my mom was a teacher and she knew the importance of that. But, the thing that I can tell you is that we, in our school district, we were continuing, that's our biggest focus is reading and math. Those 2 things are the areas that most school districts will always tell you that is their focus. And so we continue to work at it every day. It's something that, we do multiple, sessions within our elementary each day with reading and math and continuing to work at it. We're fortunate enough that, our graduation rate at the high school, because we talk about this all the time, we want to produce, great citizens that will take the next step and lead our country and continue to, be productive in our area. And we've set around that 100% graduation rate for the last 7 years, and so that's exciting to us. And so we continue to churn out kids that not only just college-bound kids either. We have kids that we're happy to send through the workforce. We have technical schools that we partner with Mobley School District and send our kids to technical school. And we have a lot of kids that are very successful in that area. But we try to look at all different levels and meet the kids where they're at and continue to improve them. Once they get out of high school, we're hoping that they come out with the tools they need to be successful. And so far we do grad follow-ups each year to see where the kids are, how they're doing it once they've graduated. Part of our, every school district does that now. It's part of our requirements for the Department of Education in Missouri, and we do those and make sure everyone's. If someone needs some help, we'll try to help as much as we can. And so it's an ongoing battle. Yeah, I mean, of course, as an educator, I think education is the most important thing for kids to work with, and so we're always trying to not be satisfied where we're at and try to keep moving forward.
I wanted to ask some more questions about the village of Harrisburg. I was wondering what the current population is, and do you have a grocery store? What kinds of businesses are there? And also, you mentioned churches, wondering what all churches are represented.
Sure. So I believe the latest one is we have 210 folks in our city limits. Our actual community is not very large as far as square miles. It's a small. Most of our folks live outside of our town of Harrisburg, so we don't have a lot of infrastructure. We don't have a lot of folks that live in the actual town of Harrisburg. So as far as industry here, we have a bank. Commercial Trust has a branch of their bank out of Fayette here in Harrisburg. We have a Dollar General, which came in about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, somewhere in there. Then we have a H-Town Market, which has some food, and of course it's a convenience store also. That's been there for several years. And then we had a long-time grocery store. I don't know if you've heard the CNS grocery store or Price's grocery store. That family owned it for decades, and they right about 2021, 2022, they closed up shop, and so we no longer have a grocery store. So that has been something that of course we took for granted, having a grocery store in your town, and now we don't. So we have to travel to either Columbia or Fayette or utilize Walmart has a delivery service that they'll deliver out here. So we're struggling without a grocery store up here, and so that's pretty much all of our industry. I think we do have a small engine repair shop that's also in our community. But that's about it as far as industry in the town of Harrisburg. Churches, we have in the community, we have a Christian church and a Baptist church. And then we have some more areas churches, Methodist Church in Woodlandville, and then we have Red Rock, has a Baptist church there as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask you, do you have a city hall, or is the school service the meeting?
Right. So we have an administration building here that we bought from, it used to be an old VFW post that was built in '65. We came over here and the school bought it. Actually, I think the town gave it to us and we renovated it. And so the administration building is here. And then to the side of it, the other end of it, we have a community room, which serves as the place for the city council meetings. And so they use it once a month. So we kind of host everything here at the administration building.
Another question I wanted to ask was, what about internet and or broadband? I don't really quite understand what I'm asking you about, but what about access and reliability?
Sure. So one of the things that that came out the last few years is we do now have pretty good internet in our community. I'm trying to think the term that's used for that, where they dig underground and trying to think. Fiber, yes, we have fiber out the internet, and that's one of the nice things that before the pandemic, we did not have great internet service out here. Since then, there's been some money poured into our internet, not only in the town of Harrisburg, but also our surrounding roads that are leading to Columbia, and so that it's a lot better than it used to be right now. So yeah, we have pretty good luck with that.
Probably socket, isn't it?
Yes.
And you mentioned family farms in the area. Is there any like the large factory farming operations?
No, not here. No, this is all families.
Good. Oh, that's great. And so what mileage area do you serve in terms of drawing kids into school? And do you provide transportation?
Sure. We run 6 bus routes each day. And we go, our School district runs about, oh, just about 10 miles each way from, well, 10 miles towards 63, up 124, and then we go about eight or 9 miles towards Sturgeon area in the Route F and NN, and then we go a little bit down J and a little bit into Howard County. So you know, the total square miles are probably around 60. So it's not a large district, but you know, it's one that we like.
It's bigger than the school, sounds like a little bigger than the school district I grew up in Nebraska, but similar. I rode a bus 14 miles one way into town to school.
Yeah,
From
I think our longest bus ride is about an hour. You know, kids get on at about 6:30 and they get here about 7:30. So I mean, it's
Wow.
we have, but about 10 miles is the farthest our bus travel will travel out.
Are there any more burning questions we should ask from Muleskinners members? Okay, well then I think we better wrap up with our focus on Harrisburg and Harrisburg Public Schools. And then I will, and hopefully you can stay on with us,
I
Steve
will.
Combs.
I appreciate the invite and thanks for giving me time to talk to y'all. And yes, I'll be able to stay on as long as I can. Of course, you never know in school districts when the next phone call will come in. So if I leave before it's over, thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, our second speaker is Steve Crosswhite. He has served on the Sturgeon Board of Aldermen for 5 years, currently as Mayor Pro-Tem. Steve previously served as Sturgeon Mayor for 3 years. Steve retired in 2015 after 35 years working for State Farm Insurance in various positions and locations. He enjoys sports of all types, his favorite being college basketball. He enjoys fishing with his granddaughters and watching them play softball. Steve and his wife Carol have been married 52 years. They have 3 adult children and 4 preteen granddaughters. Welcome, Steve Crosswhite.
Steve, I think you're muted. Can you unmute, please?
Yes, I can. And again, I'm glad that I, like Steve said, I'm very glad and happy to have the opportunity to join this meeting. And I learned quite a little bit about the Harrisburg School District in just listening to his presentation. I just speak briefly on our school district is very much the same as Harrisburg's. The only thing I begrudge the Harrisburg School District for is that we have not found a way to consistently beat them at basketball and baseball. But one of these days that might come to be, who knows. But again, I've lived here in Sturgeon myself since 1992, and although that seems like a very long time, in the scheme of things with some of the community members we have, I'm still considered a new member of the community. As you mentioned, I'm a current member of the Sturgeon Board of Aldermen, but have served in a lot of different capacities because, as those of you that can attest that have lived in small communities, there is a lot of positions that need to be filled, but very few people to fill them. So you get ample opportunity in Sturgeon to get involved in quite a little bit, whether it be serving on the school board, serving on the city council, or various organizations through the church. So it's quite an experience living in a town like Sturgeon, and then one that's very enjoyable. Sturgeon is growing at the current time, excuse me, from the 2020 census, we have around 907 people in Sturgeon. And we call this God's country, Northern Boone County. We're kind of nestled in between Harrisburg and Centralia, and then not too awfully far from Hallsville. So there's a lot of good things that we have going on in our community that we share with Harrisburg and Centralia and Hallsville as well. And we're very, very proud of that. We have seen some growth, recent growth in the city of Sturgeon. And in regard to businesses, we have a Dollar General as well that has been here for quite some time. And I'll go through a list of different businesses that we have here in Sturgeon that, again, that's kind of showing some of the growth that's occurring in our community. We have a Casey store, a Central Bank of Mid-Missouri, a Ritchie's Hardware, a buzz restaurant that has a reputation far beyond Sturgeon as being a very nice place to eat. We have a Sturgeon meat market. A family from Centralia moved where they haven't moved. They still live in Centralia, but they operate this business in Sturgeon. And that meat market has also got quite a reputation in the local area. We have an auto dealership, a chiropractor's office, a hair salon, a Pringer's grocery store. We have a dog ribbon production enterprise. We have the Sturgeon Chamber of Commerce, which is becoming more and more active as time goes by throughout different activities throughout the year. We have 3 very active churches, and we have a very active ministerial alliance. The ministerial alliance between the Methodist Church, the Baptist Church, and the Disciples of Christ Church that we have here in Sturgeon, they sponsor a food bank / clothing store here in Sturgeon that every other week, every other Thursday, deliveries are made from the food bank there in Columbia. And then every other Saturday, food is distributed. And from what I understand, sometimes as many as 250 families are serviced out of that food pantry on any given Saturday. So the Ministerial Alliance is very active. And also, I've heard, Steve mentioned about Buddy Packs, our Disciples of Christ Church, along with the other 2 churches, very active. A lot of women in those churches are very active in providing meals for the kids through Buddy Packs. We have a very good school district too. I think we can brag a little bit about our school district. We have an outstanding superintendent. We have a school board that is very, very interested in seeing the school district improve in every area. We have a teaching staff, and then we have a non-teaching staff that are very interested in the well-being of the students, and then the furtherance of their education. And our school district too provides transportation for kids to go back and forth to Mobley to be involved in that vocational program. And as Steve mentioned, we do have quite a few college-bound students when they graduate, but we're seeing more and more of our kids interested in Missouri Tech down in Lynn, pursuing careers, very good careers in that particular area. We have seen, when I speak of growth in Sturgeon in the last, and this may not seem like a large amount of growth when you compare what is happening in Columbia, but in our community, we've had 15 new homes that are now occupied built and occupied in the last 18 months. And one of the big things we're proud of here in Sturgeon is a developer has purchased some land just a little bit south of our existing high school, where it's planned to put in 52 new homes. And currently in that particular development, there are 6 homes that now have been constructed. And soon, hopefully, they'll go on the market and have new people moving into those homes. When you mentioned that TAP grant, that has been something that has helped the city of Sturgeon. We took advantage of that grant several years ago and had sidewalks built from one end of our city limits to the other end of our city limits, with basically connected the south end of Sturgeon all the way to the north end of Sturgeon, where our high school is located. So the kids have a good, safe way to walk to and from school, those that choose to walk to and from school that aren't on a regular scheduled bus route. So that's something that we also are looking into in Sturgeon. There are a lot of sidewalks that over the course of time have been buried. They've been covered up, and now grass grows on that sidewalk. And we've had some people interested in looking for other grants that we might then open up some of those sidewalks along some of our side streets that come. The 2 main roads that come through Sturgeon are Route CC, which is one route that people take to and from Centralia. And then we have Route V that comes through Sturgeon. And both of those roads are primarily serviced by MoDOT, but the rest of the roads that we have in town, we do all the snow removal on those roads. We do all the repair on those roads. Really, we have about 19 miles of paved streets within our city limits, which is pretty good for a town of our size. We have one small stretch of road that's gravel, but it's a road that runs along the Norfolk and Western Railroad that comes through town. We, as again, any small community, and Steve mentioned it, that's a concern of Harrisburg. Because of our growth, our sewer capacity is nearly topped out, and Representative Adrian has mentioned, he spoke with our Mayor Seth, and Mayor Seth Truesdale is one of the individuals that will accompany to that meeting down in Jeff City. I believe it's on January the 30th. But that is one of our biggest needs is water and sewer. Our infrastructure underground is very, very old. Our roads, there are certain, though I say we have paved roads, but there are some of those roads that are beginning to deteriorate due to the age of them. And we're looking, we have recently expended some of the money that we receive from the Boone County Road District. That there's a certain sum of money each year that Boone County Road District provides for us. And we accumulated that sum over like a 5-6 year period. And we've used that money to overlay the area in front of our high school all the way pretty much past that new subdivision that's being developed. And the community has been very appreciative of that. And we, of course, are very appreciative for the Boone County Road District helping us gather those funds. And we hope to use any funds we accumulate in the future to improve other roads within the city of Sturgeon. We have our city council, along with our planning and zoning committee and along with our infrastructure committee, are in partnership looking for solutions to our capacity problem. I mean, we've had several engineering firms in the last several years do a survey, do some testing on our sewer system and our water lines and all of that in an effort for us to look for the best way that we can improve those to provide for some of this growth. We would like to see more growth, but then we are kind of landlocked. We have a lot of very nice farms surrounding the city of Sturgeon with a lot of nice operators of those farms. They're very supportive of our school district. They're very supportive of most of the things that go on within town. But because of that, we're a little bit limited as to where we can grow. But we hope to, we've been working with the Regional Economic Development Incorporated in Columbia. I'm a board member on that organization. And we're looking for ways, and they're helping us to try to find ways to attract small businesses, maybe manufacturing concerns or something, where we can get that land availability here in Sturgeon. So far, we've had a couple of opportunities that just didn't work out, either because of the size of the acreage that was made available or some other factors. But again, a lot of it will boil down to what type of assistance, whether it be through a bond issue or it be some other type of issue that we can arrive at to help improve our capacity. We do have a lagoon, but again, I mentioned our population is 907 folks, but the capacity of our lagoon is just shy of 1,400 households. So with some of the growth we hope to accomplish in the near future, we can see that capacity soon to be exceeded. So we're working hard on, again, trying to get ahead of that problem. And our city council is very active. We do have, in the upcoming April election, someone mentioned earlier that in the April election, we have our Mayor Seth Truesdale is running for re-election. We have 2 other members of our board that are running for re-election. And that, I think, in our town, I mentioned that so many people are involved in so many different things, whether it be through their church or through the school district or just a plethora of different organizations that we have the opportunity to participate in. It is hard sometimes to get people to want to serve on our board of aldermen. So I personally would like to see that improve, particularly amongst some of the younger community members. We've always had a few young people that graduate from high school, they go to the college, and then they come back and they live here in Sturgeon, and they may commute to Columbia, or they may commute somewhere else for a job, but they've come back to Sturgeon. But we'd like to see more of that occur, and we'd like to see more of those young people get involved in our city government instead of, again, people like me. I'm still anxious to serve and still willing to do whatever I can. But then again, we need new ideas and we need new energy. And so I hope someday that we see that occur here in Sturgeon. We are very fortunate in many ways. This community has a long-standing reputation of strong family values. People that live here are proud to be from Sturgeon. Again, the small community that everyone looks out for everyone else in this community. Like I say, even though I've lived here since 1992, I'm considered like a baby. So but again, it's a good community for our kids to grow up in, and our school district is looking for every way that they can to improve the educational experiences of our kids. Our community has been, when I say blessed, in other ways we've been blessed. We've been fortunate enough to receive two community development block grants. One of them here in the next couple of weeks. It was a demolition grant that we received with the help of the Missouri Planning Commission in Ashland. The demolition grant, we went out for pre-bid here last week, and so hopefully at our upcoming council meeting, our Board of Aldermen meeting, will be opening bids, and there'll be 8 homes, pardon me, 8 older unoccupied vacant homes here in Sturgeon that will be demolished, and hopefully, again, we've had some individual builders that are very anxious to find places to build homes here in Sturgeon. So I would imagine those 8 spots will eventually be built upon in the near future. We also received a stormwater grant through CDBG. That's the Community Development Block Grant. The CDBG grant for stormwater. We have had over the course of time a problem when we have a heavy rainfall in an extended period of time. There are some areas in Sturgeon that water will be over the road, and there's 1 or 2 roads. I'm sorry, 1 or 2 roads in Sturgeon that are hard to get through when the water gets over the road. So that project, we had to go through some issues with the Army Corps of Engineers, some issues with the Indian tribes in Oklahoma due to some of the artifacts that might be in our area. And then we also had issues with the bat population and things like that. But that's all been worked through, and hopefully here that project can go out for some bidding and get that project underway. We have received, with the help of Boone County Commissioners, and we have Boone County, we again have had elected officials in the county, like our existing county commissioners, along with Representative Adrian. We've had help with ARPA funds. We recently received a grant through the Boone County Commissioners to improve our park, and some of that work has been done. We've overlaid our basketball court. We're adding some concrete parking that will include a handicap parking area, put a little sidewalk through the park to make it easier for people to go from our shelter house to some of the play equipment that's there. And we are in the process of going through the Missouri purchasing contract program to obtain some additional playground equipment designed primarily for kids 5 through 12, some obstacle course related equipment. So not only can they play, but they can kind of develop physically as well. So we're excited about those 2 opportunities. Like I say, we have support. Our chamber of commerce sponsors various events throughout the year, whether it be a Christmas decorating contest or something in conjunction with our local businesses. Richie's Hardware is a big supporter of our community. The meat market has become a big supporter of our school district, as well as other activities within our community. So, I mean, we're excited here in Sturgeon. We see that there is a lot of opportunity for additional development. We fight that situation that a lot of small communities do fight, like, how big do we want to become? I mean, we want to have some controlled growth where, again, we don't face issues like reaching sewer capacity or wearing out our infrastructure that is in some places, in dire need of repair or replacement. Our city crew, we are, I put this gracefully, over the course of the last year, we've had some changes within our city administration. So we have now a brand new city clerk, assistant city clerk, and then an additional employee that works in the office. We have 2 brand new city maintenance employees. So everyone is kind of learning as they go right now, but things are starting to fall into place, and we're continuing to move on without having too many hiccups. We do have internet here, good internet in town. We about 4 to 5 years ago socket came to town. And we also have the opportunity, some folks in town use Brightspeed, some folks in town are using Sheraton Valley. It just depends on whether you sort of lie to the east of the, if you look at the center of our town, which is, we call it Ogden, but it's primarily Route V that goes through Sturgeon. If you live a little bit west of that, you have the opportunity for some socket, some Sheraton Valley, some Brightspeed. If you live more to the east side of town, that's primarily all socket. But it's been pretty successful. A lot of folks use socket for their internet as well as their TV. Some folks even use it for their landlines in their home, but that's very few people use it for that particular need. We well, let me see. We again, those folks that are in our city government are working really hard to make again Sturgeon the kind of community that it has always been. Like Harrisburg, we rely on Boone County. We no longer have a full-time police department. We rely upon services through the Boone County Sheriff's Department, and the majority of our citizens in the community are very happy with that. We have some, and our city council is working with that, again, primarily driven by Mayor Seth Truesdale, of maybe coming up with an additional contract with some off-duty Boone County Sheriff's deputies to have them provide a certain number of hours per week in addition to the normal patrols that Boone County Sheriff makes through Sturgeon. So that's one thing we've been working on. We've been working closely with the with Boone County Animal Control. We've recently signed a contract with Boone County Animal Control to help with some of the issues that we may have from time to time with stray dogs. Or very seldom vicious dogs, but occasionally they have a dog that is not very friendly. So we've worked out a contract with Boone County Animal Control, and so far that's proved fairly successful. So it's just, we're continuing to look for, oh, I forgot to mention that we do have a funeral home in Sturgeon as well. The main funeral home is out of Centralia, but they have a branch here in Sturgeon, and that individual that owns and operates the funeral home, he is also very helpful when it comes to activities that the chamber is trying to sponsor here within Sturgeon. So again, it's just 907 people that are trying to coexist together and do the best we can for our children, do the best we can for our community. We are, proud to be part of. Everyone calls their area of the world God's country, but we do call Northern Boone County up here God's country. Most people are very happy to be here, except when Highway 63 gets snow covered. Then every now and then you have some anxious folks that they drive back and forth to work. But again, I hope that pretty well sums up what we are all about here in Sturgeon. And at this point in time, I'd be happy to take any questions that anybody might have.
Yeah, we really enjoy traveling around Boone County and going to community festivals and fundraisers that involve food. And we closely followed the successes of both the Harrisburg and Sturgeon basketball teams a few years ago. And frankly, we puzzle why the people in the smaller towns who probably share a whole lot of values with people on this Zoom today have such a hard time voting for Democrats, but I guess that's another story. Columbia takes a lot from the small towns. We probably get a lot of your kids after they finish high school. The size of our commerce probably plays a big role in the fact that there aren't more shopping opportunities in the smaller towns. What can we do to help the rest of Boone County? And by the way, I encourage everybody in Muleskinners to spend as much time as possible shopping, going to restaurants, going to festivals, etc., in the smaller towns.
Well, you mentioned festivals. We had there for a 3 or 4 year time span. Sturgeon did host a Boone County Fair when there were some improvements being made at this Boone County Fairgrounds. Sturgeon hosted the Boone County Fair. So we do have a nice fairgrounds here that includes an arena where you can do tractor pulls, you can do demolition derbies. We have recently had two new committees, well, one committee has formed and another committee is working on getting formed, and that's fairs and festivals. We've had a group and I'm honestly, all of them are young moms that were looking for ways that we can offer some activities throughout the year and primarily in the summer for the kids. So they've started a fairs and festivals committees where they're doing some fundraisers right now to where we can bring back to Sturgeon some of the, we've had ice shows come here to Sturgeon. We've had circuses come here to Sturgeon. We've had rodeos here in Sturgeon. And so a lot of people would like to see those kind of activities come back. And then we recently worked on what we call the Friends of the Sturgeon Community Center. We're working with Aging Best. Aging Best, I guess at one time was called the Boone County Center for Aging or Boone County Aging Agency. They have come and given a presentation to us, and now we have a committee that is working on beginning on a monthly basis, having that meal truck, the meal truck that Aging Best has now recently acquired, to come to Sturgeon so we can provide at least meals once a month. And we want to make this intergenerational. We don't want to call it a senior center. We want it to be a community center where not only older adults within the city limits of Sturgeon, or even the surrounding areas of Sturgeon, along with young people here in Sturgeon, can come get together, play cards, play Scrabble, play Yahtzee, play bingo, take a Tai Chi class, hear about Medicare, hear about retirement, estate planning, anything like that. So we're trying to get that fired up and running. As I mentioned, the Buzz, the Buzz Cafeteria, Stacy and Bruce Griffin have been in this town for over 20 years, and they've grown a very successful business in a very small, it's not a lot of room in their restaurant, but most nights it's full, a lot on Saturdays. They're closed on Sundays and Mondays. But that's, if you're looking for a good place to come in the outer areas of Boone County, the Buzz would be a good place to stop and get a good meal. The meat market, not only do they serve good choices of different chicken, steak, pork, they also serve lunch. They will every day have a different special. It might be a meatloaf special, might be a pulled pork special. It might be anything that Eric and his wife come up with. And if you want to go have a conversation that you thought would last 5 minutes, but you're there 30 minutes later, come to the meat market, because they definitely will entertain you with conversation for the whole time that you're there. Or you can carry out whatever you prefer to do. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Our Chamber of Commerce is very interested in shopping locally. Like the Ritchie's Hardware Store is the Ritchie family have had that True Value Hardware store here in Sturgeon for back at the time Noah was a pup. It's been passed down from grandfather to father, and now Dave Ritchie, his family, Dave Ritchie is primarily the owner operator of it now, but his daughter and some of his other relatives are very actively involved, and they are very strong promoters of these wanting people to shop locally, because that's the livelihood of their family. And what we find with what we encourage people to shop locally too is because those are the people that sponsor our Little League baseball teams. Those are the people that will sponsor a competitive girls softball team, and the meat market helps sponsor the competitive team my granddaughters are on. So we need those businesses to stay strong in a town like Sturgeon. And we need, hopefully with the help of Ready, that we might see, we cannot have we cannot have a Hubble. We couldn't have a Hubble in Sturgeon, but we could have a small manufacturing firm that maybe hired 30 or 40, 50 people. That would be really nice for the city of Sturgeon, and then would bring not only that business, but would then maybe bring other businesses like dining businesses or novelty shops. We've had a couple of small businesses that have started to get started, a coffee shop, but unfortunately it was not able to survive. A young lady tried to start a candy shop, but we would like to see that type of business start thriving in Sturgeon. And I guess it just, one, they have to provide the kind of product that people are looking for, and then the people need to realize that they don't have to travel to Mobley, Centralia, Mexico, or Colombia for all their needs. They can get some of it here in Sturgeon. So I hope I answered your question with that. But But again, Sturgeon, we have, like I say, our churches are very active with that food bank, the Ministerial Alliance. Ministerial Alliance helps with scholarships for kids at school. They give a couple of scholarships every year at school for the kids to, it won't send them to Harvard, but it'll help offset some of the costs that they have for going to college. But so again, it's just a good place. The sign on the outside, when you come off of Highway 22, Highway 22 is just to the north of our city limits. When you come down that road into the city of Sturgeon, there's a big sign that was erected years ago by a young man that was earning his Eagle Scout badge. And since then, the school's art department has helped us keep it updated with, a picture or two of cows and this, whatever, because we are a rural community. We do thrive on what the farmers in our area do. And it says Sturgeon, a great place to grow. And that's what we have that on our internet site. That's one of the pages on our internet site, Sturgeon, a great place to grow. So we hope that's something that does catch on. And we see, again, controlled growth, but we do want to see some growth continuing in this community.
There is one question in chat. Is there a significant Amish population in and around Sturgeon?
Yes, there is. One of a very old Amish community, and they have begun to split. Some of them have moved to north of Centralia. Some of them are moving up North Highway 63 up toward the Kirksville area. But still here in Sturgeon, it's a very large Amish community, and a lot of people will come from Columbia, from Mobley, every place else, and go by, whether it be their bakery products, clocks, have horses shoe. There's so many things that the Amish do out there, and it's a very interesting place to go buy flowers, go buy produce. Weekly, they have a big produce auction. And they also, the Amish community, they do come in by horse and buggy. They do come in, I'm not as educated on the Amish as some people in our community are, but I know that there are certain Amishes that are just really hardcore traditional, and then there are other Amish clans that they may do something. I mean, they won't drive cars and they won't have electricity, but again, they're coming to this town and they'll go to the hardware store and buy supplies. They go to the grocery store and buy groceries. They go to the meat market. So they're a vital part too of this community. I'm glad you brought that up. We can't overlook the fact that they are a vital part of our surrounding community, because they do, when they bring people in to come shopping, and they may need to come to Casey's and buy gas, or they may decide to stop at Casey's and buy a soda and a Little Debbie snack bar or something. But that's something that with this fairs and festivals, that we do hope that people start saying, well, hey, I understand that every June Sturgeon has something going on with the street bazaar, or every July Sturgeon has something going on with the tractor pull, or we hope to kind of generate that kind of knowledge about Sturgeon eventually.
Great. One more question in chat. How much, excuse me, how much of your workforce needs to commute for work? And is childcare for working parents a problem?
Like say, we would probably have the majority of our individuals that commute every day to work, and it's a large number. Yes, it's a large number that don't work here in town. They drive to Mobley and work at the university system, or they work at one of the other hospitals, or a lot of our people work for either State Farm, Shelter, Missouri Employer Mutual, organizations like that. We have a lot of folks that work at Boone Hospital. They may work at Columbia Orthopedic Group. So we have a lot of people that travel for that reason. Then we have several members that drive over and work at Hubble. And it used to be AB Chance, now it's Hubble. They work there in various capacities. Fewer people go to Mobley. I'd say the lion's share of our commuters go to either Centralia and or to Columbia. And Here in town is the school district, and then the few people that Richie's employs, the few people that the Buzz employs, the grocery store employs, a few part-time people, post office. So I don't know. And again, you just came back on, Adrian. So go ahead.
Doesn't Seth work he works at Hickman as it's a career center, right?
Yes. Seth, he's done a little bit of everything. He's been an independent contractor. He's worked for the Mobley Fire Department, and now he's working down at the vocational area there near Rockbridge High School.
Yeah,
I think that's been his favorite job so far.
I think
his wife also is a teacher at the Rockbridge High School.
Right.
So we have, and my daughter, she has been previously the principal here at the Sturgeon High School. Now she's working through one of the university extensions, traveling around, helping other school districts look at introducing new programs and kind of improving their own efficiency as far as their educational, as this helps with the credentialing of the teachers, things along that line. So we have very few that stay here in Sturgeon, but they always come home.
Okay. The last question would be if David Mallory still wanted to ask his.
Thank you, Kathy. I was just curious about the school. Does Sturgeon have a 4-day school week, or are you still on 5?
Yes, our Dr. Dustin Fanning, he's the superintendent of our school, and he would have shared a lot of the same information as Steve did. They've been at that 4-day school week longer than we have here in Sturgeon, but yes, we have the 4-day school week. Monday is used by the school district for the professional development when they need to have those type of meetings. Daycare with the kids, initially people were so concerned what we're going to do about daycare, but as was mentioned, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas have kind of filled that void. We do have a daycare facility here in town that is really busy. It's grown. It's when you drive, it's right over near that new subdivision that's being built. It's probably going to be advantageous for that location, but it's I could not tell you off the top of my head, and I apologize for that, how many kids go to that, but a lot of them are preschool kids naturally, and then after school care. The school district does a pretty good job of keeping some of the kids active during the warmer weather times. They have the walking clubs where the kids, when they get out of school for an hour, they spend walking around the block under teacher supervision, maybe to fill that gap between the time parents may come home. But it's worked well for us. I think you would say that it's worked pretty well for us, and it saved the same cost. It's aided in teacher recruitment and retention. It's aided in cutting down on some of the bus expense. And I do not believe we've lacked a bit as far as providing educational excellence to our students.
I said that was the last question, but Sue and Herb had their hand up too. Excuse me, Adrian.
Mine was a 4-day question.
Okay. Thank you.
Same question.
Okay, Adrian, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that, these small communities, those jobs being mayor pro-tem, they don't pay anything. So whenever they talk about getting elected, and it's really a true service to the community for these people to step up and do that. And their issues are sometimes more difficult to get our hand around than some of these big cities, just because they don't have the resources to do it. So, and that's, somebody said something, why don't they vote for Democrats? Well, Democrats haven't been showing up. And that's part of my campaign was to make sure that the rural parts of the district get serviced well. And that's why I advocate for them so hard, is because we haven't been there, and I'm going to be there. And so that's the point I wanted to make.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well,
that's exactly the backbone of any community, is just citizen involvement. You've seen so many towns that have kind of deteriorated, and I won't name any of those towns, but the communities that have kind of gone downhill from what they were 20 years ago because people just have lost interest in being involved.
You are so right. Well, thank you so very much, Steve Crosswhite. You've really given us a good picture of Sturgeon, and it's really been wonderful to have you here. Thank you.
I hope so. Oh, tonight tonight is homecoming, and the kids have really enjoyed the homecoming. Now, Steve knows this, that every day is a different thing. You either dress up like a rock star or you do whatever throughout the week. And our granddaughters have enjoyed that. So we play the Glasgow Yellow Jackets tonight. So wish us luck.
All right. All right.
Well, good luck.
All right. Thank you so very much.
I thank
Thank
you a lot. I thank you a lot for giving us a better idea of the small town life and the challenges locally with the school district and the public education.
Well, we still have, just like Columbia, we still have police protection concerns, water and sewer concerns, road concerns, tax concerns, but we just don't have maybe the same ability to get the necessary funds that we need as quickly. We work on it, we just don't get it as quickly. But thank you again for taking the time to listen to me.
You've both reminded us how lucky we are to have that special area up there, and given us good reasons to go back there again and again. Those are lovely, lovely places in that direction. So we'll say goodbye to Steve and go into our business meeting. You're welcome to stay if you're not otherwise busy. We'll have some